Did I buy this bandana just so I could do a closet cosplay of 11? Yes, I did, and I have no regrets. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am aware it has been, I know it's been a while. I got busy. It's been crazy. Ever since the pandemic's kind of died down, it's been very strange, and I haven't really had the heart to do anything on here, mostly because I made it a bit niche on this channel, but I've been doing things. I might make a video based on the review that I wrote of Multiverse of Madness. I will leave links to where that is because I wrote it and then I posted it on Tumblr, and then I made a link to it from my Twitter, which a lot of people probably wouldn't know I have, but I do have a Twitter. I did see Multiverse of Madness, that was fun. But now we're going to talk about Stranger Things. I mean, what else was I going to talk about wearing this t-shirt and this bandana? So, over the last 2 days, I have been binging season 4, volume 1, because they had to be sneaky and like hide some of it from us, which props to them because I sped through season 3 in a day. But I'm here to talk about season 4 volume 1 because on the Friday, it's currently Sunday, on the Friday I watched the first episode, just the first episode, and then we went back to whatever else was going on the TV, and then I watched episodes 2 to 7 yesterday. I figured it out at the end of the day, about 7.5 hours I was sat in front of that TV. But I'm here because me and my friends on the internet kind of predicted some of the stuff that happened in season 4, unintentionally, by the way. We were just messing around. One of the things I did during lockdown was I joined a Facebook group called Living Upside Down. Get it? Stranger Things. Not too long after season 3 aired, because I was one of those people who joined the Stranger Things game late. I watched season 1 and 2 in 2018, and then in 2019 when season 3 came out I was getting hyped about that, and then I joined the Facebook group and there were a lot of people who started roleplay chats in Facebook Messenger, and for a while I was in one that was kind of toxic and I kind of stopped doing it around start of 2020, you know, when everything went to poop. And then I got invited to another chat by someone I'd been chatting with before, and I met some really cool people. And then that chat went to poop, and I was like, I'm going to invite only the people I liked to this one. And then it just kind of happened for ages and ages, to the point that I wrote plots in notebooks. I bought notebooks to write plots and things. It was a crazy time. I didn't have much else to do, and role-playing as an original character in Hawkins in 1980. I think we picked 1987, so we made them a bit older because we were all a bit older. And these are some things that my friends and I predicted. First thing, of course, but I think everyone kind of predicted this after the finale of season 3, Hopper being alive. Because, I mean, that post-credit, whatever that scene was right at the end, it wasn't, everyone kept saying, oh, it could be Brenner, it could be this guy, it could be this guy. No, the American was obviously going to be Hopper. And we kind of predicted this in our chat, although when we did it, we predicted he'd gone to the Upside Down, and Elle had to go in and rescue him in our little fantasy world. But we weren't wrong. It was something to do with the Russians. We also predicted that the Russians had kept a Demogorgon. We predicted that, and it was specifically a white Demogorgon. So I was very excited when I saw that happen in, episode 7, when they had to fight the Demogorgon. And I just knew that Hopper was going to come in clutch with, you know, they're scared of fire, right? Because he's such a cool person. We also predicted Brenner still being alive. I have the receipts. I can show you. Because we wrote down every living, whatever you want to say. But yeah, one of the first things we did, oh gosh, you can't see this, but that says there, if any of you can read backwards, that says Dr. Brenner comes back. And in ours, Elle snapped his neck. That could still happen. That could still happen, because I do not trust him as far as I can throw him. Yes, he's got the Nina project. Yes, he's getting Elle her powers back. Yes, Elle has her powers back. But he's still really toxic, and I have a feeling he's not going to stick to Dr. Owens' plan, because he experimented on kids for years trying to replicate this one kid's powers. And that kid gave me some serious deja vu when I saw him, because I created a character. So the first character I created, her name was Cassandra, and her quirk was seeing into the past and the future, but no one believed her because technically in our heads we went a little off script in our role-playing things, and we kind of dug into Greek mythology and Lovecraftian monsters as well. We didn't go back into D&D for some reason. So Vecna was quite a surprise to us. We were like, why didn't we go back to the D&D monsters? But we didn't know enough about D&D to go into it. But the character number one, and I can prove it to you because I freaking drew this character myself with my own really bad drawing skills. The second I saw the orderly, I was like, that looks like Spencer, who is Cassandra's brother. Cassandra Ashfield, that's what I made her look like. She kind of looks like the cheerleader, which was very terrifying because the cheerleader didn't have a very good ending. But yeah, her name was Cassandra, and she lived in a very toxic household. Yeah, her powers were seeing the past and the future, and of course that mind communication thing that Elle can do, because I think she was number 13, we decided. She was 13, and Spencer... Tell me that is not the friggin' orderly. What was his flipping name? Henry Creel. That looks like Henry Creel in 1979. I saw him with the blonde hair and the attitude, and I was like, that is totally Spencer. I started messaging my friends going, doesn't the orderly kind of look like Spencer? We also predicted that 001 was going to be a total freak that came back to try and kill Elle. So that's also right here. But we named him Francis for some reason. But we predicted it was a guy, so, you know. But then again, it was the 70s when he started doing all these experiments, so of course it would be a guy. There, right there. 001, Francis, aka Freakface. I don't remember the plot we wrote for Francis because it was such a long time ago. Literally, this entire notebook, I filled it like we played characters, we took some of the OG characters and then we made some of our own characters. I made a girlfriend for Robin because she deserved a girlfriend, okay? Like, she deserves to get with Vicky because Vicky's obviously gay, like, come on. Yeah, so, but his powers, Spencer's powers, were mind reading, memory picking, and mind communication, which kind of works with Vecna. It's very scary, but he was able to manipulate people's minds to do what he told them to. He was 19 in my thing, and he was the older brother of Cassandra. Blonde hair, blue eyes, you know, the kind of thing. It was very scary when I saw him. But the one thing that we had was... Oh, that was another thing we predicted, that Lucas would break up with Max. But instead of hinting at them getting back together, Spencer ended up with Max, which we thought was quite cool because she was still like recovering from the death of Billy in our thing, and we were like, oh yeah, and that was Robin's girlfriend that we made up, Lucy. Eventually it became her wife, and she also worked at Scoops because we kind of forgot about the whole thing about working at the video place and things. Look at the detail that went into all of this. Also, the thing where when Elle or Jane broke Angela's nose with the roller skate, something very similar to that happened in our chat, and is the reason that Cassandra has a fake nose, because her bully, Eleanor, she punched Cassandra and broke her nose to the point that it was like, gosh, yeah, it was really gross. But yeah, when we came to monsters, we kind of delved into Lovecraftian monsters. Nyarlathotep. If anyone knows how to pronounce that, please tell me if I'm doing that wrong. Oh, and we also fought Cthulhu. And we went to Nevada, but it wasn't for the Nina Project like they did. They met aliens. We really went for it with this. We even did a time skip into the future where they all had kids of their own and things. It was, yeah, here we go. This was the story we made for our 001, and I'm going to quote this word for word from what I wrote. 1974, Brenner found research that proved certain humans are born with special abilities and decides to find subjects based on surveys of people's children who were all born with a certain molecule in their DNA. I called it Molecule X, but it was basically me suggesting that it was kind of like the X gene in mutants, like the mutant gene. This molecule is in Elle, Spencer, Hope, Cass, and was in Callie, the number 8. His first subject was, we called him Francis Draper. He was a 12-year-old with the molecule. His first experiment goes horribly wrong, and Francis is so deformed. See, he was deformed in ours as well. Francis is so deformed after his treatment due to the fact that Brenner was wrong. Francis didn't just have X, he was the strongest one. We predicted that too. We predicted each molecule X has a power range, but his is the strongest. We were wrong about the source of the power, but we weren't wrong about the fact that 001 was the strongest subject and somehow got away. I kind of predicted quite early on when we first met the orderly in Elle's memory. I was like, he's totally number 1, isn't he? Because he's a bit manipulative and he seems like he's worked with Brenner more than just worked with. His face was disfigured but beyond recognition, and Brenner realised his mistake, knowing he'd be ruined if it got out. So Brenner locked up Francis in his lab until he broke out and fled Indiana, becoming known as Freak Face in over 12 states, remaining on the run and never being caught. And now he's coming back to Hawkins to finish what Brenner started in 74, destroying his successors. I mean, you can't write this, can you? You can't, like, I don't know if the Duffer Brothers saw a part of my brain at any point, or if it was just that everyone else was thinking, what about number 1? What about the other subjects or something? But it felt pretty fun to me to be like, oh my gosh, that looks like my OC, but also we did a plot with 001. I think the plot we did is they were going to prom, and Freakface came back to try and unalive them. And I think we sent him to the underworld. We added Hades. We added witches and vampires and werewolves to ours. So we went kind of off script. But there is so much in here about different things that we created. Like, we took notes about different Lovecraftian characters' abilities and things. But yeah, for some stupid reason, we picked a monster that literally couldn't die, purely for our own amusement. But he did remind us a bit of Vecna. One, because he spoke, because none of the other things from the Upside Down have ever talked, which should have been our sign that maybe he's not like the other stuff from the Upside Down, because Demogorgons don't speak, they just kind of scream. The Mind Flayer has to use other people as a vessel to talk. But yeah, he was a shapeshifter. Nyarlathotep is a shapeshifter. We did all of our research by looking at, like, the Lovecraftian wiki. He's immortal. For some reason we picked someone who was immortal, because we were like, let's just trap him, we'll be fine. Avatar manipulation, so it could manipulate people's bodies, much like Vecna could. Had this thing called madness manipulation, where it could make people just crazy in its presence, kind of like the Mind Flayer does, where it has the whole thing. Superhuman strength, obviously, because he was like, I can't even remember what he officially looked like, but he could look like anything, so he did. Invulnerable. invulnerability, so he could be injured but he couldn't like die, which was the worst part. Oh, and capable of freely traversing every plane of existence. So we kind of, like, me and my friends were kind of looking at each other. Well, we weren't looking at each other because we were all in different places in different countries, some of us, and we were kind of like, that sounds like our monster. It was a fun feeling knowing that we'd done these things, that we'd done all of this. We played around with so many things. Oh, and we did predict that Max would be haunted by a Billy that wasn't actually Billy. With the whole, it wasn't the same thing, but it was similar. We had a creature, we called it Soul Sucker. All credit goes to my friend Elizabeth. Love you, Elizabeth. But she invented the Soul Sucker, and instead of talking to him through nightmares, we messed around with a Ouija board. We messed around with a Ouija board, and Max convinced herself in our little roleplay that she was talking to Billy. But she wasn't, because, you know, you can't always guarantee that who you're talking to is the right person when you use Ouija boards and things. We did a lot of research into this thing. It was kind of our whole lives for a year and a bit. We kind of predicted that Max would be haunted by something. There were a lot of characters we kind of abandoned, though, that we didn't expect to be getting bigger parts in this. We predicted that Robin would become a bigger part of this and get to know more things. That was obvious because Robin is bae. We didn't predict that Susie would play a bigger part in season 4, which I'm kind of glad about because she's actually really cool. A lot of people ended up hating her after season 3 because they feel that she's responsible for Hopper's not death. We didn't predict that Susie would play a bigger part in this. We didn't predict that in high school they'd be part of a proper D&D club, Hellfire Club. There were a lot of things we didn't predict, but I have my predictions about how Volume 2 will go down. So I predicted to my friends, I predicted that Nancy isn't going to be unalived by Vecna, but instead he's kind of going to use her as a vessel to commune with the outside world. I also figured out through the process of elimination that the reason Vecna is back now is because somehow he got wind of the fact that Elle lost her powers, and that's why he's doing the killing now. Because 1, she was out of Hawkins, 2, she lost her powers, and 3, they were kind of defenseless after losing Hopper, so the police weren't going to do much about it because they think they know what they're doing, but they really don't. It's just proof that they had no idea what they were doing. But we also saw footage that we haven't seen yet in the series of Eddie playing his awesome guitar on top of his little trailer. And because we know that music is Vecna's weakness, basically it lets people escape from the nightmare realm and get back to their own realm. Because technically Nancy's in the Upside Down, I think Eddie's going to go to the Upside Down with his guitar and play a song. My friend suggested the song that Steve sang to her in season 1. I can't remember what it was, but it was a really good idea. And that'll be able to give her an escape to get away from Henry, or Vecna, as we're calling him. I have a feeling that parents are going to get some good one-liners when they see their kids trying to defeat a really big evil monster. I have my thoughts that Brenna might betray Elle and just kind of not let her leave, which is when Mike, Jonathan and Will and Argyle are going to come running in and be like, we need to go! And then they'll all go to Hawkins in that flipping pizza van, whatever. I have a feeling that Max is going to have another close encounter because she might get sick of Kate Bush. It's not definite, but she might get sick of Kate Bush. It might happen. I have a feeling that the ending, the way that they'll help defeat Vecna, even though the main weakness is probably fire, because that seems to be a running theme with the Upside Down. I have a feeling that one of the ways they're going to either defeat Vecna or get it to go away, they're all going to confess the things that was unsaid, because I noticed the general theme of season 4 is things left unsaid. Steve's not told Nancy how he feels. Jonathan's not told Nancy that he's not going to the same college as him. Robin hasn't told Vicky how she feels or that she's gay. Elle didn't tell Mike that she was being bullied and that she wasn't having a good time in California. Will didn't tell Mike how he felt like he was an outsider. Susie didn't tell Dustin about the incident with the computer. Oh, and of course, Max not telling Lucas that she was suffering, basically. I feel like the ending is going to be something to do with the fact that they're all going to admit that there were things left unsaid. And they're going to, like, in my head, I have it that they'll be on this battlefield or whatever, and, like, the townspeople will be coming in from somewhere and they'll be fighting Vecna or whatever, and Elle will be just, like, pointing and screaming, you know, in her way, like nosebleeds and whatever. And I just feel like from across the battlefield, like, Jonathan will shout at Nancy and say, I didn't want to ruin your dreams, so I decided to go to a different place because I love you and care about you, or whatever. And then Elle's going to shout across the battlefield to Mike, and she's going to be like, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you I was being bullied and that I didn't like it in California. And they're all going to kind of go around and say it, and it's kind of just going to weaken Vecna. And I had this really, really cheesy ending line where Vecna's kind of like, what the hell happened? Like, I thought you didn't say things out loud. I thought you all hid the truth and things. And Elle, in my head, should say, friends don't lie. And then just like, either, I don't know what she's going to do to destroy him, but she's probably going to destroy him because, unless, I have seen a theory where someone said that he might combine with the Mind Flayer and then cliffhanger, wow, or they'll just have to defeat the Mind Flayer again, because I don't think they've ever killed it. It just kind of goes back into there and then just, they'll have a lot of gates to close. I feel like they're going to have a lot of gates to close because they've got the one that's at Eddie's trailer, the one that's in Lover's Lake, the one that's in the middle of the road from where Freddie Benson... I was still trying to figure out what he did because it said that he unalived someone, but you know. But yeah, that's kind of how I want the finale to go down. Nancy tells Steve that she still likes him and things. Robin might come out. The parents admit that their kids aren't in a murderous cult, because they're not, it's just D&D. Also, an amazing thing for them to focus on, because that did happen in the 1980s, and I know because my dad, who was raised, like he was a child of the 80s, tried telling me that same stuff when I got into D&D. But yeah, also Eddie better be a more prominent character in the next season, because he's really cool. I just feel like a lot of loose ends are going to get tied up. Maybe Will come out of the closet as well, because they're kind of hinting that he's gay, because he wasn't liking that girl's advances or whatever, and he seemed pretty intent on that painting. I want to know what he's painting. I want to know what he painted, basically. I want Dr. Owens to just like kind of, as soon as the friends come, just be like, go, I'll hold Breck Brenner. But yeah, that is all I have to say about Season 4, Volume 1 at the minute. If you wanted to hear more about the theories I had for what I thought was going to happen, then that might be a good thing. If you want to know about what things kind of freaked me out or what connections I managed to make between things, then I'd be happy to make a video about that. Or if you want to just dive through my my roleplay ideas and the characters I made, that would be fine too. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'm very excited for Volume 2 when it comes out July 1st. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you want to see more of my opinions about things, or just nerdy content, because that's basically my whole life. Check out the link in the description for my review of Multiverse of Madness. There's a lot of spoiler. Yeah, the link will be to my Twitter, which will lead you to the Tumblr if you prefer that, or just straight to Tumblr if you are more acquainted with Tumblr. And yes, I will see you guys next time I feel like making a video.